just kind of coming on and doing this for you guys. But you always got to show up. That's your job. You got to show up. That's the kind of person I am. That's the person I expect the people in my group to be. So why wouldn't I, right? Even if I don't feel like I'm prepared, something good almost always comes out. So anyway, I'll start with kind of what I find a pretty hilarious story, right? It didn't start that way though. So I was going to tell the story yesterday, but I was in a bit of a crappy mood, so I thought I'd save it for when I was in a little bit better mood. So my girlfriend and I are getting ready to drive over to a Mexican place that we like. Because the place across the street we went because we were feeling lazy, and it was like the shittiest Mexican ever, just terrible. You can see one of my past posts about that. It was ridiculous. So anyway, we're getting ready to drive over there, and we walk to the parking place, and my car's gone. Now, I've had my car stolen from me from my home on two other occasions, not here in Denver, but in California. So at first I was just I just felt like laughing, right? Because I'm just like, all right, that's pretty shitty, but whatever. Hey, Martin, good to see you. Thanks for the peace and love from Ireland. Appreciate it. So I had to think for a second, like, what the hell's going on? Did someone steal my car? Obviously, it's not where it's supposed to be parked. And then what I recall is that the other night I drove over to a pub down the street. And when I left the pub, I was getting ready to go to my car, but I got a FaceTime message on my phone. And it was a nephew's birthday. So I started getting in a conversation with the young nephew and just walked my way home because it's only like 4 blocks away, right? So I didn't even realize that I had left my car until the next day. So I had to walk down and get the car. Thankfully, it wasn't stolen, but what an idiot I am, right? So that's my little story for the day. So a couple things that I wanted to talk about is I'm going to kind of aim this obviously towards music production because I think that is utmost importance to the people in this group. So what I wanted to share with you is that if you find yourself struggling in your music production, struggling to get started, struggling to move past your current challenges, the absolute best thing that you could do for yourself and your focus is to get around other like-minded people as much as possible. Other people that have the same goals, other people that are passionate about finishing their music, right? And that's obviously what this group here is for. But as you can see, we've got a bit over 24,000 people in this group. And only a small percentage of people really take advantage of the value that is in this group. Unfortunately, with any group, and I've joined groups too where this happens as well, is when it's a free group, you just don't feel very invested in, really getting off the sidelines. So instead you kind of troll from the outside and just, try to look in and try to extract something from the group. And the problem is if you don't really put yourself inside it and interact, then you're not really putting your mind in the right place. You're not connecting with other people that think similarly to you, all right? And this is the big reason why we create paid memberships, right? Obviously, we give a lot of value in these places. We give value for the money, but what it also does is charging a small fee to be in this group. It filters out all the lazy people for the most part, and you're going to have a much higher engagement and people who put their music on a much higher level. So your interactions are going to be of a much higher level. you're going to get much more value just from the community itself, let alone, the training that is involved as well, right? So that's why I personally like to join membership groups and pay, because I want to be part of kind of an elite group of what I'm trying to learn, whether it be me learning something on a musical basis or learning something on a business basis or learning something on a spiritual basis. In fact, I've got about 15 minutes before I'm meeting with a coach of mine on a completely different subject. It's kind of more on the spiritual level and stuff like that, kind of keeping me centered and, kind of just about manifestation and bringing kind of real magic into your life. I won't get too crazy on that, but yeah, I have many different interests, and I like to be a part of a group that takes the subject seriously, because anything that I'm curious about, I might tap in to a free group just to see if I'm more interested. But if I am, I realize really quickly that group is not really going to be the best kind of support for me moving more quickly into a certain direction. So that's why there are private membership groups, right? For me, I have the Producer's Playground, which is $25 a month. And it's an insane amount of value, an insane amount of content. But my goal for people who join are not really just to come in and extract all the content and then take off, because downloading a bunch of content, most of the time you're not really going to put it to use in the way that you could if you kind of move more slowly and get involved with the actual community. So that's one of the first things that I wanted to tell you. My goal is to kind of shift your mind in a way where you understand the value of these things from a person who's gone through and become a professional in a lot of different areas of my life, right? I realize that, I can't just go into some free forum. If I do that, it's going to be there's going to be some value in there, but there's going to be a lot of trolls in there. There's going to be a lot of people that are real half-assed, and there's going to be a lot of egos where people are arguing over what the best compressor is or whatever. And I don't want to be a part of any of that in any area that I'm trying to really dive in and study. I want people who are actually doing it, who are actually taking that risk themselves and investing in themselves. It's just a higher quality of people, right? So the next thing that I wanted to talk about, I'm sure I lost tons of you in this. You're like, what? Pay for something? That's fine. Enjoy all the free stuff that I give. I give lots of free stuff. These videos are free, and I hope you get a lot of value from it. And I'm not talking about myself as a coach as something that you need to get involved with, but I'm saying that in anything that you want to move more quickly and become an expert in, it's very good to align yourself with people who have done it and people who have invested in themselves, because those people are action takers. So the next thing that I wanted to discuss real quickly is you don't need to make these huge leaps in your music making, in your music production. You don't need to expect that miraculously you're going to become suddenly amazing at what you're doing. Everything that you get good at, it comes in a gradual way of what you normalize. Okay? What I mean by that is that maybe some people might look at me as an expert and really good, but I'm so normalized to where I'm at that it's not really a big deal to me, right? Everything happened kind of so progressively that it just feels natural to be where I'm at. I'm not like blown away. So you can't expect necessarily to be absolutely blown away, although training can sometimes really blow your mind because you're getting all these nuggets that took some people decades to figure out, so that's definitely a shortcut. But my point is these incremental shifts of improvement are pretty much going to seem normal to you. You're going to learn, you're going to go, oh, wow, that's a new cool thing. I never looked at it that way. And then you're going to start looking at things that way. And then you're going to practice, and you're going to get better. So I think a great goal for you to have, instead of saying, oh, I'm going to try to be twice as good as I was yesterday, right? Aim for 1% better than you were yesterday, all right? Because that's doable. That's something that your brain can handle. That's something that you can normalize, right? That's something that's going to feel natural to you and not stressful. Yeah, I can do 1% better than I did yesterday. And what's going to happen, over 100 days, so that's just like a little over 3 months, you're 100% better than you were 100 days ago. That's if you go incrementally just 1% better than this original point. But now you have this cumulative increase. That 1% is 1% better than you are today. And today you're 1% better than you were yesterday. So it's incrementally better. So over a period of a year, you're not just getting 3.5 times better at what you're doing. You're sloping way up way quickly, right? And so you could 10x how fast you're progressing just by aiming for 1% better. Martin, you're thinking of buying a synthesizer keyboard. I mean, there's so many types of keyboards out there, and it really comes down to what you feel connected to, because no synthesizer is going to make you a better producer. All right. I know that a lot of times people buy things and they are looking to kind of have a magic bullet. And there's certainly tools that make you feel much more productive. But that's because you connect with it. That's because you build a relationship with this piece of equipment. So whatever you're going to get, you got to make sure that you're connected with it. And you shouldn't be asking too many other people. Although I will put in that if you don't feel that, if you don't have a really quick learning curve, then you might grab a synthesizer that a friend of yours also has. So that way, if you have questions, you've got someone to interact with on that thing. I've said the same thing about what DAWs you're using, right? We're all using Ableton Live, but I don't care what DAW anyone uses. What they should use is something where they can interact with someone else that's using the same thing. That way they can get better at time. You're using the APC. That's great. It's I had the APC for a while. I sold it when I got my push. But to be perfectly honest, I have hardware synths and I have a lot of stuff I've been collecting for a while. But I still do a lot of stuff in the box, and I don't feel that controllers are extremely necessary. Most of the work is done on this keyboard, Most of the work is done on this mouse. So there's about 20% left that I use controllers and different things to add to that, but I don't think it's completely necessary. So just, don't get yourself in the habit of buying stuff and then not learning it because you're now addicted to something new. The accumulation of stuff, whether it be a plug-in or a hardware piece, chances are you're not going to use the piece of equipment to its fullest before you get bored, you feel trapped again, and then you're looking for another solution as another piece of gear. So just something to keep in mind. I absolutely think that there's some things that can be inspiring. I have an Access Virus. I don't use it all the time, but it's an incredibly powerful synth, and I get a lot out of it when I use it. So just something to think about. So back to my original point, if you can just try to get 1% better every day, you're going to more naturally move in a direction. And if you can surround yourself by people who are like-minded, people who are willing to invest time in themselves and sometimes invest financially in being part of a group of doers, you're going to have people holding you responsible, and you're going to have an opportunity to publicly broadcast your goals so other people hold you responsible. I think that's a pretty important thing. I got one more tip that I want to share with you guys, and then I'm going to let you go. All right. The tip is, well, I might not let you go right away, but you can go anytime you want, obviously. So I learned something. Okay, so if I step back from around the year 2000 to 2010, probably even 2012, might have been all the way up to 2012. I suffered from pretty massive panic attacks. I mean, I'm talking hallucinations, I'm talking hearing things, feeling vibrations that aren't necessarily there, and every other thing that you could imagine. And one thing that happened is I got to the point where I couldn't drive on the freeway anymore. I still have trouble driving on the freeway. It's embarrassing, but it's like a splinter in the brain, and once it's in there, it's really hard to remove, these mental issues. So I would have panic attacks when driving on the freeway. So that's not very pleasant, let's just say, when you're driving 70 miles an hour and people are whipping by you. So when I would think about, and don't worry, I'm going to bring this back to music in just a second. When I would think about driving on the freeway, when I would think about being invited to someone's house, my immediate thought was, well, is there a route to get there without going on the freeway? If it's a freeway, how many lane changes is there? How many different freeways do I have to jump on? What is the distance? And I would start freaking out and overthinking every tiny detail, where most people don't have that. When you're not stressed about something, you just think about, oh yeah, I'm going to go over to Frank's house, right? And you don't think anything else of it. You get in your car, you do your thing. You're not thinking about shifting, and you're not thinking about all the different things. You're not thinking about parking. You're just thinking about, oh, I'm going to get from here to there, right? And that's like a stress-free way of thinking. And when we're thinking under stress, which I learned from my panic attacks and was able to relate it to my music, is we complicate the things and then stress out about it, right? So when it comes to making music, it's like, what's the best way for me to put this? Well, now I can get to a point where I'm just like, oh, I got to finish that remix, or oh, I got to make that song. I understand that there's steps in between, but I don't obsess about that. In my head, it's much more stress-free. So I just think about, oh, I'm just going to finish the song. I've got to get a song done, so I'll just finish it. And then I go and do it, right? Whereas a lot of people who are less experienced have a lot of stress related to starting and finishing a song. So what do? Is they split everything up, like, well, wow, I got to pick the right sounds and then go through all the presets and go through all my sample libraries, and I've got to organize the right sounds, so that it creates the right groove. And if I'm missing something, I won't know because I'm not very experienced, and I've got to turn that into some sort of a 8 to 16 bar loop, and then from there I'm going to get stuck and not know what to do from there. I've got to figure out like where the breaks go and what layers I need to create build-ups, and after the build-up, what am I going to do with the song to keep it interesting, and so forth and so forth and so on. And as you can see, thinking about something that way, that even stresses me out, right? That really complicates the whole process. So a better approach for you to take is, sure, you can break it down, but when you sit down, just think of one task, all right? Don't try to think everything so far ahead. Just think of, what am I doing right now? What is the next move that I need to make right now, right? And get that part accomplished. Give yourself a task that'll take you a half hour, and go a half hour at a time. Some tasks will take you longer, obviously, but you're going to kind of cut at it little by little. Give yourself a break, come back, and don't overthink it. When you finish one part of the process, you can let it go, come back the next day, and now you're at the second stage of the process. And you work just in that moment of the second stage. You're not thinking so much about what's going to happen after this. What's going to happen when the song's done? Is this song going to be signed? Are people going to like it? Blah, blah, blah. Am I going to be a failure forever? Whatever the hell it is, right? I try to simplify things. You know, it's good to break things down, but it's not good for your mental health to overthink every step of the process. Just think of the next step that you need to take. I hope that helps you guys. So those are the tips. What I wanted to do right now is just show you a little bit of inside my producer's playground, because a lot of people, they probably see opportunities to get into the playground on my music software training site, but they don't know too much about it. So I thought I would kind of get you on the inside. And remember, I'm going to be showing you a lot of content, and I think the content is really valuable. But I don't want you to think about this as some place to just extract as much information in as short amount of time as possible. You can do that, but you're not really going to get the benefit. The benefit is really going to come with taking things a little bit slower and having a great community, okay? Martin, the name of the site is musicsoftwaretraining.com. So I'm going to flip this phone around real quick. This is actually me doing this on the phone. So let's go ahead and do this. So now we're on musicsoftwaretraining.com, and this is what you'll see if you're part of the membership and you log in, okay? So let me try to do this where I'm looking at the screen and still getting here. So as a Playground member, you have access here. It says enter now, so that's the location. If you've bought other products like the EP in 30 Days course, or my Marketing for Music Producers course, or if you bought like some individual things, that's on this page as well. But we're gonna come in right here. And now you're in this page that might look a little bit boring, but it's a ton of content, all right? I've got my announcements and updates. I've got my challenge page. This is the Ableton Master template, so let's click on there. This is really popular. I really think it's one of the best templates out there. And you can look and find information on this, but all of these are like different parts of the template. Bass, leads, pads, click, tops, effects, noise, sends. And this doesn't even do it any justice, because within here is so much extra detail. And then every month I open up more tools for the template, and more tools and more tools and more tools. And that's just one aspect. So let's, we can go ahead and go back and back again. Another really big part of this is the Ableton streaming video collection. So, there we go. So all of these are different collections of videos, right? All of these are different collections of videos, so forth and so on, all right? So if I come into just one of these, we'll go to here. You can see that all of these are videos for just one of the courses, all right? And I'd love to show you more of this, but I've got a training that I've got to show up to right now. So if you guys are interested though, go over to musicsoftwaretraining.com